everyone, it's Hayes, and I have something to discuss with you all concerning the Sentimonster theory. And to everyone who's read the Season 5 Bible, please do not give me an answer based on what you've read. It would be great if you just don't say anything at all.
Shut up!
So let me state before we go any further, because oh boy, I know Sentimonsters and whether or not Adrikins is one is a touchy subject. And I'll be honest with you, prior to making my first ever video on Sentimonsters and the Sentimonster theory, I did not know that. I was very, very surprised to get comments asking me to never make another Sentimonster video again because it would just upset people. I had no idea it was like this. So where I stand on the Sentimonster theory is that I do believe it. I think there's a lot of compelling evidence in the show pointing towards Adrian and Felix being Sentimonsters, but I am still in denial of fully accepting it until it is confirmed in the show. And yes, I know Fairy, Miraculous Mexico, one of the ambassadors said Adrian is a Sentimonster, but I need confirmation in the show itself for Gabriel to say to Adrian, hey, you're a Sentimonster. So I am in some denial, not Cartoon Apocalypse level denial, although I guess there's a chance he's right and Adrian is human, although I do think that's a very slim chance. So I guess I'm a Sentimonster theory believer, although I don't want it to be true, but I think there's a lot of compelling evidence there. However, if Adrian is a Sentimonster, why does Gabriel want to keep him locked away? Let me explain, besties. I think it's pretty clear the amok, if Adrian is a Sentimonster, is in the ring Gabriel has been wearing, which was originally Emily's wedding ring, then Gabriel took it off her in Felix after Felix took his wedding ring, and currently Natalie is wearing it, which Gabriel Babes gave to her in Risk. So it's not on Adrian, and it's in relatively safe hands depending on how competent Gabriel is able to act. And judging from what we've seen so far, my 4-year-old niece is more competent than him. So as long as the amok is safe, which it had been for a while on Emily, Adrian is safe. So why has Gabriel, and by extension Emily when she was around, kept Adrian locked away? Now, of course, Adrian can still be physically hurt. We see him get hurt all the time as Cat Noir, and he can be emotionally hurt too, like in Cat Blanc and in Ephemeral. And Gabriel always says he wants to keep Adrian safe by keeping him inside, which does make sense on the surface. But, for example, Gabriel could just use the amok to control Adrian to make sure he stays out of harm's way. Of course, that would take a lot more effort. He'd have to watch Adrian all the time, but it is possible. Keeping Adrian locked inside if he's a human makes sense because he could get stabbed, he could get run over. Anyone can really badly hurt him and he could die. Whereas Sentimonsters, as long as the amok is safe, are a lot safer in that regard. To our knowledge so far of Sentimonsters in the show, they can only die when they get snapped out of existence. Now, Thomas Astruc has said Sentimonsters can age if the creator intended that when they made the Sentimonster, so I would assume, based on that logic, that Sentimonsters can also die, presumably of something natural, at an average age of death. But can they be murdered? Is that possible? If it is, I can understand Gabriel's logic. But right now, that doesn't seem like the case, so I don't quite get it. Like, if Adrian gets kidnapped, Gabriel will be able to control Adrian with the amok to defend himself. The same if he gets into a fight. Protecting Adrian against emotional harm is a bit trickier, but Gabriel has never seemed all that bothered about that. Perhaps he was when Emily was still around, but he's only really shown concern for Adrian's feelings in Glaciator 2. So if Gabriel doesn't care about Adrian's emotional well-being, and as long as the amok is safe, Adrian is safe. So why has he been locked away for so long? I am struggling to wrap my head around it a little. For me, everything else about the Sentimonster theory does somewhat make sense, which is a miracle considering some of the other plot holes in this show, but this point is kind of throwing me. So I would like to know, I made this video because I want to understand, please someone explain to me, if Adrian is a Sentimonster, why is Gabriel keeping Adrian locked inside? I don't get it, so I'd love to know what you all think, besties. Maybe I'm just stupid, maybe I'm creating issues where there are none, but I'd love to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.